Hello. I kind of ate last month with the amount of books that I have in my arms. I'm never gonna do this good again, so this is the best month probably I'm gonna have. We're gonna get right into it. This is my March wrap up. And I do want to say either my outfit is cute or it's giving farmer. I'm not sure. And of course, as you know, Boots is eating right when I decide to record. So in the month of March, I read 9 books, and as you know, I did do a February TBR, a pretty big one, and I do want to say the only ones that I did not read was Hideaway Heart and Part of Your World. These are the only ones that I didn't get to last month. Oh, and I do want to say that I did also have The Ballad of Never After on my February TBR, but I didn't finish it in March. I literally just finished this the other day, but I did read it. So that will be in my April wrap up. But yeah, I missed these two. Not for any reason in particular. I just was reading a lot of other books. You guys probably know the majority of the books I read in March because I feel like most of these books were in videos, but some of the books actually were not in videos at all. I just couldn't get them to like fit in any videos. Like I said, I read 9 books. I don't really know. I'm not going to add up the pages. I'm just too lazy for that. But I will say it is 2 mystery thrillers, 3 romances, 2 fantasy, and 2 dark romances. So we're just gonna get started here. So this book I actually did not read in any reading vlog at all. I read Twisting Games by Anna Huang. This was a book that was on my February TBR. I feel like that these books, with the way that the romance is written, I think they're dark romances. They're getting close to these mafia dark romances. The smut scenes and stuff and the situations that are going on, I don't know, they're pretty similar to like other dark romances that I've read, which is like 3. Anyways, this is part of the Twisted series. I did read Twisted Love, which is the first book in the series, and this one is the second one. So if you don't know what the Twisted series is, it follows this friend group of girls and all of their different romances, essentially. And I was really excited for this one because this one is specifically about Bridget, and she is a princess. Her normal bodyguard steps down, and then she is given a new bodyguard, and his name is Reese. Of course it's Reese. There's so many Reeses in these books now. So I rated this book a 3.5. I kind of thought I would rate it a little bit higher, but there was just some things I didn't like about it. I did like this one more than Twisted Love. Twisted Love was, I think, just a 3. Something that I noticed that would happen, at least I feel like it happened the second half of the book the most, there were these time skips, and that kind of bothered me because there were so many time skips to where I feel like that could have been better for the book to have to develop Reese and Bridget's relationship. Because they would talk about like, oh, like he made me soup when I was sick. And I was like, when? When did he do that? It literally just follows Bridget and the bodyguard and their romance and Bridget having probably to become queen. I feel like I read a lot of Goodreads reviews that said that Reese didn't have a lot of a personality, but I don't think it was that big of a deal because he went through a lot of trauma. So I feel like he just comes off very monotone, very like quiet, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. That wasn't something in this book that I thought was wrong or weird or anything like that. That didn't really bother me. Just mostly like the time skips and the plot twist that the author put in there, and because it didn't really make sense. It didn't really help. The plot twist was supposed to help a situation essentially, but it really didn't. It kind of just, they said it and then I was like, okay. And then I thought it was going to be one thing, but it ended up being something else. And I was like, oh, it just didn't make sense, basically. All right, and the next book I read was Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I read this for BookTubers Choose My Reads, if you guys want to check that video out. I talk a whole lot about this book because this book was so good. I rated it a 4.75. The reason why it wasn't a 5 was because I just feel like there were things that could have been better explained because I found myself confused, but I honestly feel like that this story and like this world is very unique because, you know, there's a lot of fantasy stories, a lot of fantasy books, and I feel like they kind of all start to sound the same, but I feel like this one was really unique. This one was about demon princes and 2 characters named Amelia and her twin sister Victoria, and they're both witches and they work at this little shop with their family. Their family's very close-knit. And anyway, something happens and then Amelia wants revenge. She meets Wrath, who's like one of the wicked princes, and they decide to team up for whatever reason, and I don't really want to like spoil anything for you, but this one was just so good, and the way it ended was like so good. It's just honestly the pacing in this book was really, really good. I really loved it, but I was just a little bit confused on stuff that was going on. I just kind of wish things might have been better said. I'm not sure. If you want to go into this book, I would say to not read the back, because I think that would have been more of a intense like moment. Like, I feel like if I didn't read the back of this book and I didn't know what she was trying to get revenge on, I think that would have been crazy, like a crazy plot twist. So I definitely say go into this completely and absolutely blind. And if you like witches and demon princes, all that stuff, definitely read this. This book was so, so good. And it really made me want pasta and cannolis. And the next book I read, which was also in a reading vlog, I read Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Obviously, this is a dark romance, and this was in my dark romance reading vlog. This is a dark romance, but it's like a rom-com, so it's really funny. And it is. It's a very funny book. The characters are very charming, very witty. What they do is that they kill other serial killers, but basically our two main characters, Simone and Rowan, they both kill bad people, and then they somehow meet and they share this common interest of killing bad people. And you know, there's a lot of tension between the two characters. They both like right off the bat really like find each other attractive. There's a lot of like tension, and they don't want to mess that up because they're like, I could never find somebody else that shares this common interest with me. It was kind of like this push and pull kind of thing. I gave this a 3.75. I definitely recommend the audiobook. There wasn't anything really wrong with it for me to only give it a 3.75. It's just that this plot specifically wasn't something that was like really gripping me. Like, I feel like I definitely could have like put this book down and like not picked it back up. But that's not because it's bad. It's just not something that I would be like, I would come home from work and be like, oh, I can't wait to read Butcher and Blackbird. It wasn't really like that, but I did enjoy the audiobook a lot. The audiobook was really, really funny. Plot twist at the end was very like impressive, and it was really good. And then I loved the way this book ended. It was so, so fun. 3.75, really funny book. If you want to read a dark romance book that's more comedic, I would definitely recommend this one. For me personally, I didn't really get grossed out at all. Like, I can eat cookies and cream ice cream just fine. And if you want to know what the heck that means, then you're just gonna have to read the book. Okay, and this was another book that I read in a reading vlog, 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I read this book in a BookTubers Choose My Reads. And as you know, Holly Jackson wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I absolutely loved that book. Honestly, I anticipated it being a 5-star because I don't know. I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I figured that a book like this, where, you know, it takes place in 8 hours, these teenagers are stuck in an RV, and someone's shooting at them. I thought that was gonna be like a 5-star read. Like, I thought there was gonna be a bunch of plot twists and all this stuff. And there was, but I would say that this book wasn't really my favorite. I gave this book a 3-star. Cool thing about this book is that, you know, you have like the floor plan of the RV, and then it has like the map of where they're going. I thought that was just a cool little detail to have in the book. Kind of already said what this book was about. A group of teenagers, they are taking a road trip, they take the RV, something happens to the RV and they're stuck, and they learn that somebody is like out to get them and like literally shooting at them. The person tells them that the only way that they can like get out is if one of them tells like a secret. One of them has a secret, so, and that's the only way they can get out. So now all of these teenagers, they all have secrets. The plot twist was good. I think it was very slow. It was very slow. It was kind of like dragging, especially like in the beginning to like the middle. Like, it took forever, but I do like how there were small details that kind of like made sense later to mention in this book. But something that I noticed is that, I don't know if you guys have read this, but this is just a me thing. Our main character, which her name is Red, she talks about the dang curtains of the RV so much that never comes back up. So I was like, okay, so that's probably going to be a detail towards the end of the book because she keeps mentioning it. No. She never talks about those dang curtains again. I was like, well, why'd you bring them up? You know, the plot twist is good. I liked learning about all the little characters' little things that go on. And there is deaths in this book too, which was fun. The romance was kind of out of nowhere. There is like one scene where, you know, Red talks about like this past thing with this person on the RV, but it didn't feel like they actually liked each other. And she acted like she didn't like him at all. Like she was like, oh, I don't know if I like him. I don't know. Red was kind of interesting. She was an interesting character, but I also really liked that in this book, we had an unreliable narrator, which was fun. Why is it so dark? So this book was not in a video at all, so it'll be fun to talk about. I read 1,000 Heartbeats by Kira Cass, and it's a thick boy. It is thick. This author is the author of The Selection, one of my favorite series of all time. So I've had this book for a very, very, very long time, and I'm so glad that I finally got done with it. As of right now, I actually don't really have a rating on this book, but I think I want to give this book a 3.5. I kind of thought it was gonna be a lot better. I kind of thought it would at least get a 4-star, but before I get ahead of myself, I'll tell you guys what this book is about. This book is about Princess Annika and then a character named Lennox. It is in dual POV. So we're kind of following Princess Annika, and she's obviously a princess. So, you know, she's trying to like find a husband and like all this stuff. And then, you know, her mother had passed away, so she's kind of still grieving, and her father is like a douchebag and he's awful. And I think he's awful because she looks like the mother, which is like so stupid to me. So Lennox is part of this rebel group, right? And he's trying to like prove himself to the person that's like higher up in the rebel group, I guess. That's kind of like their leader. And he's like, oh, I know what we can do. I'm gonna steal the crown, right? Because he mentions a lot that the crown is his. And we learn later on about like the history and stuff. When Lennox finds Annika, takes the crown, but he also takes Annika and keeps her captive. That part was interesting, and they talk to each other, and he was mean to her at first, of course, because, you know, they're enemies. It's a lot. This book kind of had a lot in it, and honestly, this book kind of gave me Disney vibes. And then when I say that, think of like Regency. It's not a fantasy. It's mostly Regency and like dystopian. So this book really gave me Tangled vibes and Frozen vibes and just like Disney. And it's like kind of like a cozy, absolute slow burn romance read. That's what I would describe it. So I feel like if you like Disney and you don't mind a slower paced book, I would definitely recommend this one. The reason why I say Disney, I just want to preface, the part where Lennox wants the crown, he literally steals the crown, Tangled vibes. And then, why did I say Frozen vibes? Oh, I said Frozen because of like the Prince Hans scene, because there's something kind of similar that happens later on in the book. Anyways, though, I thought this book was good. I did think it was going to be better. I think if it was a little bit faster paced, it would have been nicer. And something I really loved about Lennox is that he had a little fox friend, and it was cute. It was like his little dog. It was cute. I would definitely say that this is kind of a cozy read. Definitely a cozy read, but it still has fighting, it still has violence because it's Regency, and there's still like war and things like that go on in this book. The thing about this book that's really cool, it's a one and done book. It's just one book, one standalone, and it's definitely an above average read for me. So yeah, this was a 3.5, and I would definitely recommend it if you like Regency and don't mind a little bit of a slower pace. And the next book that I read was Beneath the Stars by Emily McIntyre. This is the first book to the Sugar Lake series. I was honestly curious of how she was gonna do that genre switch, but this book is about Chase and Alina, and it kind of tells their love story from basically day one. Like, Chase moves in, or is it Alina that moves in? I don't know who moves in. Someone moves in next door to each other. And it kind of just tells the story of them like kind of growing up, and then obviously something happens between them and they don't talk for a while. And it gives very like, you know, Chestnut Springs / Windy City / Magnolia Parks. And I'm only saying Windy City because eventually it's going to turn to a sports romance because the next book is actually about Alina's brother and he's in basketball. But anyways, Chestnut Springs I'd say because there's spice, and also it takes place in Sugar Lake, Tennessee, which I thought was like so cute because I'm from Tennessee, and there is no Sugar Lake in Tennessee. That city does not exist. I looked it up because I was like, I want to go to Sugar Lake, Tennessee. This book, in the beginning, I was so excited because I really thought it was going to be a 5-star because I don't know, the writing was really good and the pacing was really good, but then towards the end, there were just some things that I didn't like about Chase and Alina's character specifically, because I feel like that in the beginning, they like talked about this certain character trait that they have. They're like, oh, I need to not do this. But then they kind of did it anyways, and that would kind of bother me. Alina has like a really close friend that obviously likes her, and she would kind of like, I'm not gonna say she would use it to her advantage, but I feel like she would kind of do that, and that kind of just gave me the ick. I do want to say, when I say this gives Magnolia Parks, it's just because it's very emotional. It gets like really into like addiction and drinking and things like that. And some of the things that Chase would do are kind of toxic. That's why I say that this is kind of like Magnolia Parks. But that's pretty much it. I gave this a 3.5, I think. The book ended off kind of leading into the situation for the next book. So I'm very, very curious about that. And these are all on Kindle Unlimited if you guys want to read them and check them out. But the covers are just so pretty that I'm gonna buy all of them, so. Slowly but surely getting close to the end, and the next book I read was Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This is a very anticipated dark romance read for me, just because a lot of people either like this book or absolutely hate it and DNF it, and I honestly didn't mind it at all. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot worse. I haven't read Hunting Adeline yet, so maybe Hunting Adeline will get a lot worse. I don't know, but I'm ready for it. Honestly, this book is so much more than a dark romance. Like, obviously that is the biggest part of the plot, because obviously the character, Zaid? Yeah, Zaid, he's like stalking, you know, what is her name? Oh, Adeline. That was so stupid. Obviously, Zaid is like stalking Adeline, and it's kind of like a stalker romance. And it's like, yeah, why would you want to spread that message to fall in love with your stalker, blah, blah. Yes, but it's a book. This book was way more than just that. It kind of also had like a mystery element to it, because Adeline's trying to figure out what happened to her great-grandmother. Basically, it's either her great-grandmother or her grandmother. Either way, her grandmother gives Adeline this mansion when she passes away, and so she goes to move into the mansion, and she starts like discovering little like notes in her grandmother's diary about her grandmother also having a stalker. So they're trying to figure out like who killed the grandmother, essentially. And so you have that mystery there, and yet you also have the stalker romance part with Zaid. And then you have Zaid's side of the story, but Zaid also is doing a really, really good thing. He's basically doing something to help children and women, which is so weird to say, even though he's like stalking Adeline. I gave this a 3.5, but it was an above average read for me. I did enjoy it, and I will definitely be reading the second book, because this book ended off in a cliffhanger. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind all the stuff that happened, the smut scenes, they were, you know, whatever. It didn't bother me, I guess. Like, of course they were shocking to read about, but I wasn't like turned away from it, if that makes sense. So the next book I read, and we are almost done, we just have 2 more books left to talk about, was When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams is a very anticipated author for me. Like, I have been hearing about her books for so long. I've heard that she writes really cutesy romances, so I was really excited that I pulled this in my March TBR. So what this book is about, it's about a celebrity named Amelia Rose, and she kind of wants to take a step back from the spotlight. And she decides to go to Rome, Kentucky, because one of her favorite movies is Roman Holiday, and she loves Audrey Hepburn. She's like, I want to go to Rome, but the closest Rome to me is Rome, Kentucky, so I'm just going to go to Rome, Kentucky. So that was that reason why she went to Rome. And basically something happens with her car, and she gets stuck on the side of the road. But what she thinks is the side of the road is Noah Walker's front lawn. So he finds her, and he's like asking her if she's okay, and of course she's like freaking out, because she's like, oh no, like she's like a top pop celebrity, so she was worried that, you know, it was gonna cause a whole thing, and he was gonna like call the paparazzi and things like that. And he knows who she is, but he doesn't really care that much. Basically it's forced proximity, because he lets her like stay for a little while. And anyway, they kind of grow this bond together. and she kind of gets a taste of what life is like out of the spotlight and stuff. It's just a really cute romance book. I really enjoyed this, and honestly, like, if you are somebody that doesn't like spice, 100% this is the book for you. This book had, of course, like a moment where they would kiss, but there's really no spice in it at all, which was something I was actually kind of surprised by. Like, they did have a scene where they were like together, but the way the author described it was like very clean, and honestly it was kind of like a breath of fresh air a little bit too, because Noah wasn't lustful with Amelia from the first sight that he saw her. Usually a lot of the romance books that I read, the guy is immediately like, oh, checking her out, thinking about her in this lustful way, and it was just so nice to read a book that didn't have that, and honestly it was like a breath of fresh air, honestly. But I do kind of wish that it was a little bit more descriptive on their like time together, and I only say that because I felt like it was just so quick, and because you know, you've got this slow burn going and then it just happens and it's like, oh, that's it, you know, kind of thing. But I get it. I understand that not a lot of people like spice, so, but I did really like this book, and it was so cute. I think I gave this book a 4.25, I believe. And now the last book. I wish I could say that we're ending on a really good note, but we're really not. This was probably like the most disappointing book of March, and that was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This book is about this live-in nanny, okay? So she gets a job as a live-in nanny. Her name is Rowan, I think. So in the beginning, she wants this job so bad. And, you know, you're kind of asking why, and that does get answered later. She gets the job as a live-in nanny. The kids are creepy. The house is creepy. The house is creepy because it has like cameras everywhere. There's rumors of the house being like paranormal, things like that. So things start happening to Rowan, and she gets really like suspicious, and there's like a weird door in her room, and she doesn't know what's going on, and the 8-year-old is like, please, you need to leave, and blah blah blah, like the kids are creepy. The ending and explanation of this twist made me so mad because there was no justice. It was not satisfying. I mean, I give it props that I didn't like guess it. I didn't guess it. And this book was also very slow. Like, we're given all these details about different things, which I guess is what a mystery thriller is supposed to do. They're supposed to throw you off. But the things that were being given, like with details about like, you know, this certain part in the garden where it's like there's poisonous plants, none of it mattered. Like, I feel like none of it really mattered. And like the ending, I just could not believe it ended like that. And it's just irritating, but not in a good way. Like, it just felt like a cop-out ending, honestly. I feel like the author could have figured out something a lot better for the ending, honestly. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna give this book a 2.5. On Goodreads, I have it as a 2.75, but the more I think about this book and talk about it, the more irritated I get. So, yeah. Anyways, that is the end of today's video. That was my very late March wrap up. At this moment when you're watching this, I'm in California right now, and I'm going to the Fearless event. It's so fun, and I'm going to vlog all of that for you guys. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!